And he is live. What's going on, everybody? This is the pre-show to Head to Head with Ryan Parker, starting in 9 minutes. In about 3 minutes and some change, we'll have our 5-minute countdown. But wanted to come on early so that you guys knew that the show was coming up, and also wanted to thank you all for tuning in. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, please share so folks know what you're watching. But then also make sure that you're subscribed. We're also asking folks to go onto our YouTube channel and subscribe there as well. And do me a favor, y'all, please. When you go to our channel to subscribe, please play a few of the episodes. Even if you play them in the background, even if you turn the sound down, we definitely want to get as much video viewed hours as we can. The more viewed hours, the more it helps with the algorithm out there. Even if you're on Instagram right now, please go watch the show later. If you're on Roku now, please go watch the show later on YouTube. And just, even if you've seen the show, not asking you to watch the whole show, but make sure you play it. It's those hours, it's the subscriptions that really will help. We're trying to get up to 10,000 subscribers, and you can be a part of that. You can help. You can share with some other people. We got about a minute and some change to go, and on tonight's show, we're going to talk a little bit about Trump supporters. How you feeling? Elon Musk's Doge department has come in and just started doing a lot of unilateral cuts that have affected Trump supporters, veterans, all kinds of people. There are a lot of people that, they didn't know that this was going to happen and that was going to happen, which is pretty rich because there was some project that spoke about that well before this election. And I think a lot of times people hear what they want to hear. And unfortunately, as grandma used to say, I can show you better than I can tell you. So it's unfortunate that the only way for people to care is when it actually affects them. That's my biggest issue that I have with that. And we'll talk about that on the show too. We're also going to look into the way the tariffs are starting to affect prices. We're also going to look at the way tariffs are affecting your 401k. As somebody that has a 401k through my job, I can honestly say, yes, my 401k is down. Why is that? Why is that? So we'll talk a little bit about that too, and some other things as they come up. So join us in about 5.5 minutes on the next episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. And now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the producer to get us ready for the countdown. You ready, DJ? Give me a thumbs up. All right, the DJ's ready. We will see y'all on the other side. They'll give you 5 good minutes to be able to go get a cup of coffee, put them bad kids away, but we'll see you over on the other side.
This is ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And this is ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And this is ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. Ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it.
Welcome everybody to this episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am Pete. And is that your fan again?
It's the computer. It picks up on the mic.
Wow. That's crazy. Welcome to another episode of Head to Head. Oh, take two. This guy just flashed. Welcome to another week of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he, and We are tuning in for another week of talk. I had to give it to Lori. Her computer has this fan on it that just runs. That's not a new computer, is it?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what you're doing to these computers. Bought a brand new computer. It shouldn't run like that. Um, why would your fan be running on your computer?
To keep it cool.
Why is it hot in your office like that? My fan's never
I don't know,
run.
but why don't you just come and look at it, and you can make a diagnostic, tell me what I've done wrong.
That's not my job. But
Yes,
anyway,
it is. It's your job, Tommy. It's your job.
nah. I mean, we have no job. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. We are streaming live and direct on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook Live, as well as YouTube TV. Please help us out on our YouTube drive for 10,000 subscribers. We need your help, even if you are tuning in on another platform right now. We ask that you still go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Whatever platform you're on, we definitely would love it if you would share, whether you're joining us live or whether you're catching us on a replay. Doesn't matter. You can always share a replay, just to let other folks know what it is that you've been tuning into. If you're able to watch the entire show, we love that as well. If you can only catch bits and pieces of it, hey, we thank you for that too. We'll take it any way we can get it. Hey, Lady 929, welcome to Instagram. Welcome. We glad to have you. We do this every week at 7 p.m. live, and we do a lot of talk about what's going on in the world. We talk about, mostly about politics, because to be honest with you, a lot of things that you experience in your daily lives are affected by politics. If you did not understand that before, there is no way in the world you cannot understand that now. We are going to talk about 401ks and how tariffs and everything else is affecting your 401ks. How decisions that folks in power and in government make can affect your daily lives. This day and age of complaining about the situations that you're in, but not being active enough in politics should be dead and gone. Should be over. I'm not saying that folks have to be. So, people use the whole thing. Like somebody told me today, oh, I don't even watch the news. I don't even watch TV. It's too depressing. I'm so sorry. It is. But it's also life. It's also real. It's also relevant to you. Um, there's really not anything that goes on in politics that you're going to be protected from. Burying your head in the sand is not an effective thing to do. It doesn't stop what's happening from happening. And some people will say to me, well, Brian, it doesn't matter who I support, who I don't, bad stuff gonna happen anyway. The reason bad stuff is gonna happen anyway is too many people have bought into that idea that my voice won't matter, my vote doesn't matter. And to be honest with you, that's what a lot of the politicians hope that you will say. It's what they hope that you will believe in. When we talk about turnouts, and turnouts are how many people actually show up to the ballot to vote, lower turnouts benefit MACA, benefits Republican. Um, and why do I say that? Because the way the country is currently divided and constructed, if everyone that was a left leaning, liberal leaning, progressive leaning voter voted, you would never see another Republican in office. They know that too. This is why one of the tactics is always, Lori, to make sure that they flood the zone with bullshit for you to fight over, making you angry and upset at other people as if the reason that your life is shit is because of what other people have done to make it that way. And there is some truth though. There are people out there that do contribute to making your life shit. But what they do is they turn you against those that have nothing to do with it. Normally, the people that make your life harder than it has to be are those that see your fan went off, didn't it? Or you muted. Oh, okay. I was like, the sound went away. I'm sorry. I just noticed it. It just went away. I was in half thought and it went away. But anyway, you must be able to hear it too then. Oh, okay. Okay. So um but the people that are really responsible are the ones that have the power, the ones that are in close proximity to power, whether they're donors, interest groups, and things like that. Instead of us fighting them together, they make us fight each other. How do they make us fight each other? Because they tell you that there's a group of people out there that are getting benefits that shouldn't be getting benefits. They tell you those kind of things to make you jealous of each other and make you turn on each other. And at the end, that really doesn't do anything, y'all. All that does is it's a distraction tool. What party is trying to cut education funding? That would be the Republican Party, Anthony. And again, you have to ask yourself why. Why is the Republican Party trying to cut education? The easiest answer is, and you'll hear them spin it and say that public schools try to indoctrinate your children. Well, it depends on what you consider indoctrination. If you mean that public schools teach your kids critical thinking, if it means that educational folks teach your kids about history, if you mean that education teaches your kids about diversity, ergo people that don't look like them, guilty as charged. If that's what your idea of indoctrination is, then yes, it is about learning about critical thinking, about being able and diversity is about being able to work with others. We are preparing children that when they do go out into whether it's the workplace, social environments, and things like that, they need to learn how to get along with people that don't necessarily look like them, think like them, talk like them, dress like them, and anything, because we're all people who deserve respect and dignity. And that should, and you know what? I remember a time, I'm not that old to not remember when that was supposed to be a good thing. That was all about character. That was all about teaching your kids how to sit there and be adaptable to situations that they can't control. You know, that's what education really does. But you'll get a political party that will politicize something like that and call it indoctrination. Republican Party is really, really good at taking a word and bastardizing it. They took woke and made it something that it didn't even mean. They took CRT and they made it something that it didn't mean. They took DEI and turned it into something that it doesn't even mean. A lot of these words, if you really ask them, well, what does that really mean? They can't even tell you. They just throw out a bunch of scary things that make you hate something that had nothing to do with any kind of hate at all. Education is about making sure that your kids are well-rounded. Remember, Lori, people always talking about sending their kids to school to get a well-rounded education. Remember that?
Absolutely.
Oh, it ain't about being well-rounded now. It's about making sure that your kids don't get exposed to social justice, to history. They don't want them to learn about the history of this country because it does not put this country in a great light. then they will say, well, if they know about the history, it'll make white people feel bad. I'm sorry. Were y'all concerned about the black folks that felt bad because they used to get beat and lynched, murdered, raped, and everything else? Oh, that part's okay. We don't want white people to feel bad. Well, you sure don't give a damn about the black people, do you? History is not about making people feel bad. History should be about teaching people what has happened in the past and make sure that's where the hell it stays. But if you refuse to acknowledge history, if you refuse to acknowledge that what was done in history was bad, you are destined to repeat it because no one has actually told you, hey, that was not the greatest shining moment for this country. But we could have just stayed there and not moved forward. And even though we still have a ways to go, we would like to think that we're not quite where we used to be and that we're further along. What is wrong with giving that contrast? And it doesn't make white children feel bad. And I think it's insulting for these parents and adults, and I use the term adults very liberally, to even suggest that their kids are so stupid that they can't see the difference between history and what's present. What I honestly think, Lori, is that if they teach their kids history, to them, based on where they live, some of the shit ain't changed. They might actually go, how is that history? I live that every day. I think that's what they're more worried about is how far from history, depending on where they live, they haven't come from. Oh, we still think that way. My parents would never let a black in my house. They still say the N word and laugh. You know, my dad came home and celebrated the fact how he denied 10 black people today loans. See, what they're worried about is that the teacher is telling them that was in the past, and in their mind, they're thinking, no, I see that shit every day. I think that's part of the problem. The other problem is with education. Again, if you defund education and make education privatized, like charter schools and schools like that, where you have to pay tuition, a lot of those schools can have a lean to them, Lori, like where they teach Christian education at the school, regardless of the background of the students and their family. You may have agnostic families. They can go to public school because there's no pressure of them having to sit there and go through religious teachings and trainings. You can have children of color. You can have children with disabilities be able to go to a public school that may find it hard getting into a charter school. You know, you will hear Republicans a lot of times, Lori, talk about school choice. And that's just a fancy way of saying the kids that are more affluent get the choice to go to better schools. What they're wanting to do in defunding education is make it easier for those that have the private schools to get more funding for their school.
Also, to your point, Brian, in regards to the defunding of the Department of Education, it also reflects on the accessibility for people who are disabled, also affecting those that are going to college, because again, those individuals will process for student aid, FAFSAs, things of that sort. So, and loans and everything else, and also the investigation of any type of cases where there's for in education for individuals who are disabled if they're treated incorrectly, everything else. So it's just a very scary time.
Yep, absolutely. And it kind of makes sense that you have to understand that if you wait until kids go to school, go to college, and come out of college, it's already too late to have to bring them into the Republican Party. So what they're doing is they're starting young. If we ban books, we rewrite history, we teach them all these things that we want them to know, and they grow up that way, there's a better chance that even when they become adults, they will be more right leaning than anything. It's a strategy. It really is, but it's playing on children. Instead of letting children go to school, come out of school, and be able to make a choice, we're going to precondition them based on where they live, what they're exposed to, and determining what kind of person they become. And the whole thing about going to school and going to college is about living experiences that may be different from the ones that you came from. If you grow up in a small town, small city, everybody know everybody and things like that, and then you go to a big school, your world is open. You realize the world is so much bigger. You see a lot more things. You experience a lot more things. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, but to people, and when I moved down to Florence, South Carolina, some years ago, people looked at me and called me Mr. Big City. And I never, ever associated being from Charlotte as being anything close to a big city. But from their point of view, their perspective, I was that to them because it was a bigger status than they had. When I moved to New York City, I didn't feel like no Mr. Big City. But I guess if you ask New Yorkers, they may not feel like they're a big city because they're used to being in New York. So a lot of things is from the perspective that you come from. And what I find Republicans trying to do a lot of times more than anything is change that perspective, kind of keep that perspective really, really isolated so that kids don't experience those things. Kids don't sit there and start to accept a transgender classmate. Kids learn that there are only two sexes, male and the female. And with that, I agree. There are only two sexes. Lori,
Yes.
two sexes. There's a male and a female. Did you know that?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes, two sexes. But when you say transgender, did that say transsex or transgender?
Gender.
So gender and sex, are those words interchangeable?
They are not.
Is
Well,
weather
they would like it to be, but it's not.
is weather and climate interchangeable?
No.
See, this is what I mean about trying to make a word mean something that it don't mean. Sex and gender are not the same thing. If you want to argue all day about there's only two sexes, a man and a woman, nobody's arguing that. Transgender people don't argue that. They say that there's more than two genders because there were never two genders defined, even in the Bible, that people claim. It's funny, people will claim certain things from the Bible and then other things they act like they never heard of before. Idolatry, lust, the love of money, those kind of things. Okay, well, whatever. But that man and a woman thing, God said the man and a woman. God said the man and a woman. Yeah, what else did God say that you ain't don't quite remember? God said, feed the hungry and the poor. Take care of the poor. How's that going when your government is trying to cut Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and everything else? See, this is what I mean by trying to split things up, Lori. folks will act like their morals and stuff will not allow them to accept more than two genders. But Jesus told people in the Beatitudes about taking care of the lesser. Did he not?
Yes, he did.
But they don't remember that part. So if your morals keep you from identifying more than two genders, how do your morals let you support a party that's ready to take away benefits that affect people like that?
But to your point, Brian, it's all about, and what you've mentioned before, is that people vote against their own things that would support them, and now that it's affecting them, and now that it's not an other people problem, now it's like, oh gosh, now I have voters remorse. What was I thinking? But again, you never wanted, to have decent roads that were not in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't want to pay taxes for roads that I don't have to drive on.
Right. Absolutely. And
I don't
thank you
want
for saying it better.
Yeah, I don't want to have to pay taxes for infrastructure that I'm not going to use to be a part of. Why does everything have to affect you directly for you to realize whether it's right or wrong? Why did it take jobs having to get cut indiscriminately for you to realize that's a bad idea? I mean, even the uh, uh, Trump and them are trying to figure out, Lori, how to make jobs reports now exclude federal jobs.
And when everyone talks about the boogeyman that's in the room, or the white elephant that's in the room, which is DE and I, again, and I will say it for the crowd in the back. DE and I had nothing to do with Black people or brown people. It affected veterans, disabled individuals, white women who were benefiting more from those things, that were those programs and things that were in DE and I, not Black or brown people. We were last on the list for DE and I programs.
Here, white people. Let me tell y'all about DEI, because it's the same white grievement that comes from, hey, I wasn't able to go to Princeton because they had to give a certain percentage of scholarships to Black people. The reason that universities adopted that, Lori, was because most of them acknowledged that most things were being awarded to white people, regardless of qualification. And the argument came that, there are Black folks that are just as qualified, but they will never get the opportunity because they will always hold the door open longer for the next white person trying to go through the door. And when the Black person walks up to it, the door is closed. And the whole idea behind affirmative action in DEI was to acknowledge that there are plenty of qualified Black people out there. And these programs are helping them get their foot in the door. It doesn't mean that you took an unqualified Black person and put them ahead of a white person, unless you fundamentally believe that all white people, even the dumbest motherfucker, is more qualified than the brightest Black person out there. If you believe that there's no way a Black man could be more qualified to fly a plane than a white man without looking at their credentials, that's the problem. You are the reason why DEI and affirmative action exists.
And again, building on your discussion about affirmative action, yes, that was at that time was aimed more toward Black people and people of color. But again, with that start, it also then expanded into veterans, white women, disabled, and everyone. So when you're saying that you're doing a war on DE&I, all of these white women who just decided to vote for Trump are now realizing, hey, that's my job.
Yeah, yeah. Because when you think of a lot of small business programs uh, that cater to marginalized groups, whether they are people of color, whether they are women, because women are still looked at as a minority.
Yes.
Minority does not mean black.
Or brown or what or other.
Minority is this is a group of people that are severely unrepresented. That's what minority is. Has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Now, the problem is that the majority of the time, when you mention minority and you mention folks that are underrepresented and things of that nature, they just happen to be people of color and women.
Yes. Yes, they happen to be, but or they give those examples to highlight the point. But again, also within that discussion, let's talk about you talked about Medicare, Medicaid. Let's talk about SNAP, EBT.
Yep.
Who is the largest group of individuals that is on EBT and SNAP benefits?
Black people.
White people.
Just kidding.
Now, but you're always going to see an example of waste by having some Black woman with 7 kids, or you see them on TikTok or having these videos that are trying to scam the system. And it's only, but a majority of these people that are using and utilizing these benefits are white people, and you're now cutting food from their mouths.
But see, Lori, again, that's a fact, but that fact would not be useful because if I'm a white person and you show me ads with another white person with multiple kids receiving those benefits, it's harder for me to vote against something like that. Even though that is a fact, it's easier when I see people that don't necessarily look like me that I go, oh, that's something that if it got cut, well, it won't affect nobody I know because I don't know a whole lot of black folk no way. I don't mess with them Puerto Ricans. I don't do this. I don't do that. So it helps with that narrative. It helps build that falsity out there that by getting rid of SNAP and some of those after school programs and things like that, I'm not affecting my community. I'm affecting them. That's how they won the election by saying, hey, everything that we're going to do bad is going to affect them. A perfect example, Venezuelans, when they heard about Trump talking about mass deportation and everything else, they say, yeah, go ahead and get rid of them. We don't care. We got TPS. He ain't talking about us. Not realizing, well, of course, he's only going to show y'all pictures of Mexicans. But to them, all of y'all are Mexicans. To them, Haitians are Mexicans. To them, black people are Mexicans. To them, anybody that is non-white, outside of Ukrainians apparently, are Mexicans. Because when they started talking about deporting Venezuelans and everybody else to Mexico, it's like, well, wait a minute. Venezuelans ain't from Mexico. Puerto Ricans ain't from Mexico. Black people ain't from Mexico. They think everybody need to go to Mexico. That means that you think everybody is from Mexico. Because the grand scheme of things, Lori, they don't really give a damn where you're from. They just don't want you here. And again, that, Lori, is also voting against your self-interest as well. Because whether you like people of color or not, whether you like women or not, whether you like transgender people or not, These people contribute revenue to the country. These people pay taxes into the country. And the sad thing about undocumented people is they pay taxes that they will never be able to benefit from. They pay into our Medicare, Social Security, etc., payroll taxes, but because they are not documented citizens, they will never get the benefits from it. So when y'all complain about, people and stuff like that, understand they are adding to the economy. Oh, Brian, they ain't coming here the right way. Okay, fair. But the majority of them go to work, mind their own business, and are not out there committing all of these crimes that you're hearing about at the rate that natural born citizens do. Not even if you go by per capita, it's still not even close. But with all of that said, Lori, if you then take away that revenue by deporting people, because that's what you would be doing, you would be taking, if you're trying to deport 12 million people, and let's just say for the sake of argument, these 12 million people bring in $3 trillion a year in revenue. How are you going to make up that revenue that they brought in?
Tariffs.
No.
How
are you going to make up for the taxes that they paid? Especially when you're trying to find ways to give tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires. So getting rid of 13 million people is already going to put you behind in taxes, right? Cutting taxes is going to only make that increase. So then if the rich people ain't paying the taxes and you done deported all the Mexicans, who's left to pay the taxes? Because you got to remember, if you make under a certain amount of money a year, you pay no taxes because you can't afford to. So you can't go by the poor class. You can't go by the extremely wealthy. Well, who the hell is left? You. You're left to pay the taxes. But you're okay with them getting rid of somebody that doesn't look like you. You're okay with them giving cuts to the rich. And to offset those cuts, Lori, like here's the thing. So the Republicans are trying to push through a budget bill. Before they can push forward a budget bill, they have to pass what they call a budget resolution. They did pass a budget resolutions. The way, and I won't bore y'all with the way the budgeting process works in the House and the Senate totally, but you need to know this. There are 12 different committees that they call appropriations committees. Apparently, Elon Musk has never heard of what appropriations mean. But these committees govern over certain sectors of government agencies. You have agriculture as one. You have defense. You got all these different appropriations. And what happens is, the way it's supposed to work, Lori, these committees come together with a budget for that committee. And then those committees pass their own appropriations resolution. Okay? Setting up appropriation bills. Each bill can be voted on the floor of the House of Representatives. What has been happening over the last few years is a lot of times they will cut out doing them as individual bills and turn them into one lump bill. And Republicans, especially Freedom Caucus members, hate that idea because they think each bill should be voted on its own. And I agree with that. I agree with that. What you will hear terms like omnibus, an omnibus bill. That is an all encapsulating bill made up of 12 different appropriations, but they just say, okay, here's one big bill, vote yes or no, up or down. And and the reason that they do it is it's a trick. It's not to save time. We don't want to have 12 separate votes. Is to make the dissenters bow, because you go on record for turning down a bill that has money in it for cancer research, but it may have some fat in there for something that you don't like. If you vote it all down, none of it passes, and then you're on the record for voting against cancer research, even though what you were really voting down was something else that was in the bill. Well, you voted no, so it took it all down. So you by effect are against cancer research. See what I'm saying? How to get you like that? They almost make it impossible for you to vote against it, and knowing that they can throw some stuff in there that they know you ain't gonna like, because they don't separate it into 12 bills. Matt Gaetz was huge about that. And so was Thomas Massey, so was Rand Paul. A lot of them think the same thing, where they're like, hey, we yes. We need to vote these bills separately. So they'll do what they call an omnibus. Now, they haven't even been able to do that lately. What they've been doing, and you'll hear this term more than you ever should, and that is pass a CR, a continuing resolution. So what does a continuing resolution mean? It means that we've come to the end of what we've appropriated to be spent in Congress. But we can't continue to function as a business if we haven't appropriated and allocated funds, right? If you have a business, you have a budget, right? But if you don't have no money, you can't run your business, right? So Congress comes to the end where they don't have any money to run the government, and they can do one or two things. They can pass a spending bill that will then fund the government, or they can pass what is called a CR, continuous resolution, to kick the can down the road and say, okay, we're going to give ourselves an extra 3 months to work on a final bill. Well, they've been doing CRs since 2020, when Nancy Pelosi was still Speaker of the House. So since Kevin McCarthy / Mike Johnson became Speaker, they've not been able to agree on a full budget. And what you will hear is, well, the Democrats are standing in the way, they're voting against it. But Lori, and my math is pretty good. If Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House, that would normally signal that Republicans hold the majority. And because the House is differently constructed than the Senate, you only have to win by one vote to pass anything in the House. So if there are 218 Republicans in the House, might be 219 now, and there's 215 on the Democratic side, technically, if all Republicans vote for anything, you don't need one Democrat to vote with you. So when y'all hear Mike Johnson lie and tell you that the government is going to be shut down because of Democrats, well, I want y'all to know what a meme of "you full of shit" looks like. Because the math ain't mathing. If you say you're the Speaker of the House, meaning that you hold the majority party in the House, you have 219 votes. All you need is 216, meaning that you could technically lose 3 members in your own caucus and still pass, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
If that's true, how can Democrats prevent you from keeping the lights on? They can't. It's impossible. What you're saying if you really believe that the Democrats kept you from a shutdown, what you are conceding is you don't have the full support of your own caucus. That's all it can mean. Because if you had the full support of your own caucus, it wouldn't matter if a Democrat voted yes or no, stayed home, voted absent, vote present, whatever. It wouldn't matter. You have the majority. Now, it is a little bit more nuanced when you get to the Senate because there is a filibuster in place, which means that you cannot just pass with a simple majority. There's 100 senators, a simple majority is 51, or 50 plus the vice president voting as president of the Senate to break the tie. You can go 50-50, vice president can break the tie, but you can't do that with most of your bills. There's only certain carve-outs that Mitch McConnell made where the filibuster doesn't come into play, and that's normally when they're talking about judge appointees. That can take a 50+1 vote. Most other things that they vote on, Lori, has to be with a supermajority 60 vote. That's 2/3, technically 2/3 of the Senate, right? Which means that if all you have are 52 Republican senators, some way or another, you got to convince 8 Democrats or independent senators to come to your side on a particular issue. So even it now, that's under normal rules, though. And there's some other ways that they can even get around that and bring it back down to a simple majority as well in the Senate. But it's through a more difficult, rigorous process called reconciliation. And basically, once the House passes it, that bill moves to the Senate. And then there's representatives from the House, representatives from the Senate that will then put it they will take that bill and put it with some other bills. This is where cutting different other things comes from. And then they will pass that as a one big bill. Or as Trump calls it, a big, beautiful bill. They can only do this special thing one time a year or one time a session. So this Congress hasn't used reconciliation. They can use it and pass it with a 50+1 vote. So they can get around the filibuster that way. Or they can simply just vote to shoot down the filibuster, but they would need 60 votes to do that too. That's not as likely. So they're looking at going through reconciliation. But for the Senate to even be in that position, the House has to do its part first. The reason I bring up the shutdown is because the government runs out of money tomorrow. And they always wait to the last minute. And this is what Democrats have said. We're voting against it because you're trying to, in your budget resolution, you said Department of Agriculture, which has Medicare and Medicaid in it, has to reduce their budget between $800 million and $1 trillion. Well, the biggest thing that is spent out of that is Medicare and Medicaid. Even if you removed all of the spending from everything else that the agriculture does, it still would not be enough to shave $800 million to $1 trillion. By default, you would have to shave Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP. There's no other way. If you do the math don't math if you don't touch them at all. But they did a resolution that says, no, we need $800 million to $1 trillion to come out. But the only way to do that is you would have to start taking the scalpel to those programs. It's impossible not to. So even though they didn't explicitly say it, well, when they bring back their resolution to the House, it would have to include that. Right?
Yep.
But they're acting like they don't. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I ain't seen the bill yet. So I don't know why they're lying, because at some point, Lori, they have to put it in writing. Like you can play this whole game now, But when it's time for the actual budget to come out, it's going to be in there. So that's a crazy thing. But back to the education part, Lord, they're also trying to. Donald Trump appointed Linda McMahon of WWE fame to run the Department of Education, with the mandate that she start shutting the department down. Now, she has even admitted that she can't fully do this without congressional approval. But like with the VA, Medicare, Medicaid, Department of Health and Human Services, you can kill a department by a death of 1,000 cuts. And that's what they're doing. They're undermanning the departments, layoffs, sending people home. What does that do? It keeps it from working efficiently. There was a story, Lori, that um, people that needed to file for disability benefits, instead of it being a 2 to 3 week wait time, it's now a 2 to 3 year wait time just to get everything decided because of the damage that they've done to the department. You don't have enough people. It's going to slow it down. It's going to muck up the system. Bless you. It's going to do all those things. So it's not that the programs aren't there. They're just not going to work as efficiently as they once did. So when your 80, 85-year-old mother or grandmother is trying to go on disability, I want you to understand that you voted for that. When the mortgage company doesn't want to hear that you're a veteran and you didn't know Trump was just going to fire veterans who make a lot of government jobs, you voted for that. When you're trying to buy a new car because your car finally conked out and the value of your car is less than what you had to pay for it from day one, you voted for that. When your interest rates go up or you're trying to apply for a mortgage or you want to refinance your house, but you can't because mortgage rates are too high, you voted for that. When you see that what you used to get paid does not go as far as it used to, you voted for that. If you're in your 50s, 60s, and 70s and getting closer to the age of retirement, and you go to your principal or your equitable account, and you've lost money over the last 3 months, like I have, you voted for that. Brian, we ain't vote for all that. We just thought he was gonna kick out black people and brown people and make America great again. Yeah, you voted for that. Anybody that didn't see Trump the movie the first time, or you did and you thought that it was going to be better, how many times is a sequel better than the original?
Never.
It normally isn't. Normally, if they struck gold with the original, it's hard to make a comeback, and there are exceptions to that. But I can tell you this one won't be it. We'll talk about why that is on the other side of this break. We're going to pause for 2 commercials. But what I wanted to let you guys know as a side is, if you are a small business owner, if you have a side hustle, maybe you make t-shirts, maybe you do 365 filmings, and maybe you do event planning and things like that, and you want to let people know about the services that you do, reach out to us at theparkermedia@gmail.com. We can do still reads, we can do full-blown commercials for you at a price that is a lot better than what you would be able to do on a network TV station. that it's going to want a arm, a leg, your firstborn, your lastborn, blood samples, and everything else just to be able to put a 30-second ad on. I promise you, you can do that here and you won't walk away in pain. So we're going to do Jermaine Parker Realty, followed up by Shanine and Sheldon Muldrow's first book. Working on the second book now, but it's called Sawyer, Kid Lawyer. And we'll see y'all back on the other side. Buying a home is one of the biggest decisions that you'll make. Here at Jermaine Parker Realty, we're here to help you navigate through that process. We know that a home is more than just a place to live. It creates memories. Here at Jermaine Parker Realty, we're here to help. Give us a call and let us get started on your journey. Introducing Sawyer, Kid Lawyer, Teacher versus Nap Time, a great book that will help your little one with reading, writing, and spelling. Coming from the authors, Shanine and Sheldon Muldrow. Please check this book out and support. Thank you so much. Wait, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Thanks for the commercial breaks. Really appreciate that. And just also wanted to bring up for anyone that's in the Charlotte area, that on March 20th through the 23rd, we have the Black College Invitational Championships, which is HBCU March Madness. It's taking place at the Bojangles Coliseum. And again, that's in Charlotte, North Carolina. Please go out and support our HBCUs. It is March 20th through the 23rd.
Very nice. And speaking of Bojangles, somebody just sent me, a friend of mine sent me yesterday this review on a Bojangles breakfast sandwich that looks like a Bowberry biscuit with chicken in the middle of it. Anybody, please let me know. Have you had it? What do you think? Because it looked good. I'm gonna have to catch it one of these mornings, but man, that thing looked good. It looked like it might send you out of this world, but it looked pretty good. So I haven't tried it yet, but I do look forward to it. If that is my last meal indeed, then I'll just try to make sure that I wipe the crumbs off my mouth before I go on up there or wherever. But anyway, wherever. But so we've been talking a lot about FAFO basically, and there's still going to be some moments of FAFO. But Lori, the thing that I struggle with is still how people still do not understand how tariffs work. I don't, and when you hear whether it's Trump talk about tariffs, whether you hear his press secretary talk about tariffs, whether you hear Republicans talk about tariffs. Here's the funniest thing that I've heard over the last week, and it was even stated during the joint address to the Congress. A lot of people call that a State of the Union. It's not a State of the Union. Your very first year is not a State of the Union. You can't be in office for 2 months and go and stand in front of the joint session and go, the State of the Union is strong. Brother, you just got here. And if it is, it ain't because of you. So it's not really a State of the Union. It's just basically a speech that he gave before both chambers of Congress. They call it a joint session address. And that's all it was. But it was really funny because Trump sat there and admitted that his tariffs would cause slight pain, as he put it. I've heard other folks now in Congress talk about short-term pain. Now, the problem is you were elected because people apparently were already going through pain. Okay? I'm in pain. I go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, I can fix you, but first I'm gonna have to put you in a little bit more pain." Wait, what? I wanted you to stop the pain. Yeah. I'm gonna get to that, but I'm gonna have to put you in a little bit of slight pain first. Huh? You see, when you have never had to figure out what bill you not gonna pay this month and how bad that's gonna make things on you and your family. When you've had to sit there and look at what is in your grocery cart that you could stand to put back on the shelf. When you've decided that today I might have to take the bus because I ain't got enough gas in my car. When you've had to decide that I would have really loved to take the kids on a longer summer vacation, but the money just ain't going to allow it, and it's going to have to be a little bit shorter. When I really wanted to take my wife out to a nice restaurant, but I had to decide on an all-you-can-eat joint. When you haven't had to do things like that, it's hard for you to be in touch with people. Your idea of short pain for people shows how out of touch you are, because you, during all of that time that they were in pain, didn't experience any of it. So when you hear from his secretaries of commerce and all these people that he surrounded himself with, Lori, they're all billionaires. They don't understand what the pain is, because God only knows if they've ever gone through that pain. And if they have, I'm pretty sure it's been quite a long time, and they can't remember what it felt like. So it's always funny to hear a rich person tell you that, as Trump did on that podium, on that diocese, to then tell people it's going to be a little short-term pain, but we're okay with that. Who the fuck is we? I ain't okay with it. My mom's ain't gonna be okay with it, and she's on disability. Who is we? You and the other billionaires? Y'all gonna be okay with us being in pain for a short period of time? Well, that just makes me feel a whole lot better. That a bunch of rich ass mother effers gonna be okay with the rest of the country being in pain that they won't feel 1 second of. This is who y'all voted for. Oh, I could have a beer with Donald Trump. Donald Trump wouldn't piss on you if you was on fire. Even if he just sat there and drunk 5 bottles of water. He would rather sit there and put that piss back in water bottles and see if he could sit there and put his logo on it and see how many of y'all dumb MFers would buy it. Colt 47 or something. And I don't mean COLT, I mean CULT. Oh yeah, Donald Trump, he's the people's person. Really? Because all I see him surround himself around is millionaires and billionaires. Y'all gonna wake up one day and realize that Donald Trump is not your everyday man. Most of these politicians aren't. But the idea is to find politicians that may be well-to-do, may be affluent, may not be, but that can connect to the people that they're supposed to be representing and serving. When somebody tells you that you being in pain because of a policy that they're doing and we're okay with that, there's a problem. Lori, I heard him say that, and I'm just looking at the TV like, I know he ain't just say that.
No, what I thought was really interesting is when he's like, yeah, we're going to go through a little recession.
Well, you're right, but now, in fairness, the way it happened was Maria Bartiromo, friendly atmosphere on Fox News, sat there and just asked him, "Can you rule out a recession?" Any president before 2020 would have answered the question this way: there will not be a recession. You know why? You know who's listening if you can't unequivocally say no, there will not be a recession? The markets. And people's misconception of the stock market is another reason why people end up voting against their own self-interest. Lori, you own stock.
Absolutely.
You do?
I
I
do.
mean, like you outright bought stock?
I have a small, like one or two shares again in my company,
No, no,
and
no.
then
I mean, did you buy any stock? Oh, you have shares in your company. Okay, I got you. I got you. That you work for. I got you. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Lori, do you know most people don't have their own stock account that they know of?
that's correct. Yes.
Most of but more people own stock than they really understand and believe. They just don't outright own it. It's invested through their 401k. If you have 401k and you don't think that you have any ties to the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ or the S&P, you're out of your mind. Most stocks and bonds are managed with 401k money, right?
Yes.
They can be general funds, they can be education funds, they can be these bonds, all these different names. And unless you are savvy on Charles Schwab, Robinhood, Principal, Equitable, and any of these other places, financial services, you may not understand that you are actively tied to where the stock market goes. When
Absolutely.
we have severe dips in the stock market, go check your 401k.
No, let's not. And I think,
I did
and
last night, and I was mad as a mother. I said, because normally by this time of the year, I've probably made an extra $1,000 on the stock market, and I'm already down 400.
well, the reason, and again, having working in the financial services industry, and then in working with funds and this on that, the long view as a shareholder is that you, when these periodic dips in the market and everything else, that you go with the long view and that you don't make drastic decisions, of which was affecting the stock market. Yes.
That's true. But if I ain't long for this world, or I'm about to enter into retirement,
Yes.
I don't have a long view.
I understand that. Yes.
If I'm 35, yeah, he'll be dead soon. There'll be another president. We'll rebound from this unless he hits the red button in the football or something like that. Yeah, I got a shot of rebounding and recouping and all that stuff. If I'm 63 years old, I don't have as much of a runway as a 35-year-old. I can't wait 4 years for this some bitch to get out of office for me to see my portfolio rebound. I don't have that time.
That's that
So,
that you are
so
definitely correct.
when I have to cash out, I'm not gonna get all my money because this fool told us that my little bit of pain is okay with him. His billionaire friends that make more money a year than I do just off the interest of their money tells me that I'm gonna be okay with a little bit of pain. Now, Lori, I want to ask this one question though. Out of all of the executive orders that this man has done since January the 20th. Can you name one, just one that would have anything remotely to do with lowering the cost of food, housing, or any part of cost of living? One policy.
No.
How is that possible when you told people that on day one, you would be bringing costs down? Now, again, my math is pretty good. This ain't day one. Hell, this ain't day two. This ain't even day 30. Now you telling people not only will costs not come down and that we potentially could go into a recession, you guaranteed everybody on day one, I'll bring all the prices down. Really? Now, look, I don't think anybody could do that, honestly. But the fact that he's the one that held himself to that expectation, I don't blame him for prices not coming down on day one, because I don't think anybody could do that. But I ain't the dumbass that said it either. I'm not the dumbass that said it to a bunch of other dumbasses that believed it. Yes, ma'am.
Including in those dumbasses, also he was talking about, or has continued to also talk about, that he's making America great again by bringing in jobs, because again, all of the tariffs that are going to come in are going to sit here and bring back our jobs and bring money into our treasury.
What's up, Mr. Showtime? Aaron B, what's up? Sorry, a shout out on Instagram.
No, that's fine. So
Showtime.
Hi, how you doing, Showtime? Definitely want to talk about that, because again, and I know you were going to sit here and talk about on the tariffs, but again, has said how he's going to make us great again because he's bringing back American jobs by putting these 25% tariffs with Canada, China.
See, y'all, let me explain to y'all again how tariffs work. I own a company here in the United States, and I buy certain products from a country outside of the United States, or from a country, because every country is outside of the U.S. I buy a product from a country. When the country comes to the dock, in order for those items to come off the dock, I have to pay a fee for it to come off. Now, China or whoever I ordered the product from didn't sit there and put it on a boat and ship it all the way over the sea, and I hadn't paid them for it, or there wasn't an agreement of payment. Maybe they do bill net 30, net 20, whatever. But whatever the price was for what I agreed to with that foreign entity is the price that I have to pay them. Okay? Even if the government sits there and says, well, to get it off the boat, you're going to have to pay a 25% tariff. Well, the person that has to pay to get it off the boat is me. I'm writing a check to the Federal Reserve. I also pay taxes to the Federal Reserve. So I paid the Federal Reserve my taxes. I also paid the Federal Reserve my tariff. The company that I got it from got what I agreed to pay them. Okay? They're not getting charged. Their Treasury Department is not being taxed by our Treasury Department. That has never, ever happened. Ever. It's never worked that way. So when you see these economists on TV telling you that tariffs raise money, they are correct. It does. Tariffs do raise money off of you. We're not sticking it to China. We're not sticking it to any other foreign country. We're screwing ourselves, and you're sitting on that invisible dildo every single time. You're screwing yourself. And I don't even know if it's invisible. I actually think it's Trump's two fingers that you lubing up, and then you just sitting on it. And the more you sit on it, the oranger his face gets. That's all it could be. He's screwing you. And you
Damn!
Yeah. But it's true. He's screwing you. He's convincing you that he's making these other people pay. So here's the funny part of all of this. He's going to increase your taxes. Then he's going to make you pay tariffs on top of that, which is another tax. Yet we're supposed to be entering into, his words, a renaissance and prosperity. Oh, there's going to be prosperity, all right. Next time you see his cabinet meeting, that room is the prosperity. Those are your oligarchs right there. That's the prosperity. Oh, I'm sorry. You thought it was going to be you? Oh, you thought you were going to get another stimmy. Listen, why do y'all accept crumbs from people at the table eating gourmet food? They will throw few crumbs onto the floor and let us fight over that and fight against each other when they the ones scoring all the good stuff. That's what they do. Because you know why? Because they know your dumb ass will be happy with the crumbs. If you think I'm being a little harsh on you, turn it off. You ain't ready for the truth. But it's true. Y'all will fight over crumbs while they sitting there getting all the good stuff. Go ahead, Lori.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
Sometimes if it hurts, all you need to do is say ouch. Don't get mad because somebody stepped on your toes. Get mad because your toes wasn't where they were supposed to be. That's all I would tell you. It's the truth, y'all. Tariffs are paid by the entity that owns the product that is having to come off the boat. Now, do you think out of the goodness of my heart, if I have to pay 25% extra on what comes off that ship, that in some way whatsoever, you're not going to feel the weight of that? Of course you are. I'm in business to make money. I can't watch 25% of my revenue go to the Department of Revenue or the Treasury rather in taxes that are tariffs. You're going to have to help me absorb all of that cost or most of it. Maybe I don't do the whole 25%. Maybe I put you on the hook for 20 to 18% of it and eat the other 70. Maybe I can sit better with that. But you think in good conscience I'm going to eat all 25 of it? Now, Lori, the way smart tariffs work, there are tariffs that work. They are what we call targeted tariffs. If I own an electronics company, right, and I'm buying a lot of televisions from China, and you say, well, Brian, any electronics that come from China, we're going to charge a 25% tariff. But we are helping with an innovation bill that we passed to build more effective, cheaper televisions in the United States. And we would like for you to consider purchasing from them instead of ordering all these products from China. That's where targeted tariff makes sense. If I was an electric vehicle manufacturer and I order all of my car batteries from China, but because of a tax incentive that you've given now that will fund electric vehicles, it has sparked innovation of more plants being built that make batteries here in the United States, Lori. That is a targeted tariff because you are trying to move me from buying it overseas to buying it here in America. Trump seems to think that there's nothing that we need from Canada, Mexico, or any outside countries that we can just get them from here ourselves. That's not true. And farmers, I'm talking to you. He has led you to believe that, Lord, do you understand that if farmers have a really good season, the amount of stuff that they produce would be in excess of what we would use? And that most of what they have, if we did not ship it anywhere outside of this country, would be wasted.
Absolutely.
This is why USAID was a very important program specifically to farmers, because then they were able to send their products overseas and be able to make money off of those things, whether it was feeding the hungry, helping with medical treatments and things like that, Lori. That's what USAID did. AIDS prevention, vaccines, food insecurity. Yet they talk about waste, fraud, and abuse to a program that accounted for Lori, 1 point, no, I'm sorry, 0.1% of our budget, of the entire budget. When you sit there and you go to sleep at night, or before you go to sleep at night, you pull out your edited Bible, because it's got to be edited. Like there's got to be a lot of pages in that bitch that's missing, and because it only can have only the pages that you choose to leave in there. As you sit beside that edited Bible and read only the passages that you left in there, because you had to take out the ones about, you know, feeding the hungry, taking care of the poor, all that, yada yada yada. You know, maybe you just thought Jesus was woke. There was a lot of woke stuff in red in the New Testament, I guess. But anyway, when you're sitting there looking at that, remember that you voted for a party that doesn't mind breaking up families through deportation, or telling families that if you don't want to be broken up, even you legal ones need to be deported with the undocumented. Or, hey, I know that we're the greatest country on earth and we produce a whole lot of food, but we would rather let it go to waste than to feed the hungry. I know that we can produce a lot of vaccines that could save lives, but we'd rather watch these people die. If that is being a Christian, I don't want no part of it. Because if that's being a Christian, your religion sucks. I'd rather just be a good person. Now, I'm not going to say that everybody that considers themselves a Christian thinks and feels that way. So I'm not going to down an entire religion based on that. But what I am telling you is that there's a lot of people hijacking your religion, claiming that they're a Christian, but would rather see the hungry go unfed when we have the means to make sure that doesn't happen. They're okay with seeing children die of AIDS when we have medications. They're okay with these things, because cruelty is the point. Make that make sense to me. You want to have a debate? I'm here at 7 o'clock every Thursday. Come on and debate me. I'll bring you on the damn show. And you tell me how that is humane. You tell me that is Jesus-like and all that other stuff y'all like to claim when it's convenient. I'm ready. Are you? That's all I got for today, y'all. Like to thank Lori for coming in and taking care of the producer job. She did good today. So I think I'll keep it for another week. That's all it is, week to week, baby. We'll go from there. You got 7 days left. Hey, or I'll do a continuing resolution. I'm not gonna give you a budget. I'm just gonna give you a CR.
Well, I think that I thought you were doing a CR throughout our lives. So it's just like, and the re-up period is always in February where you make a decision. So I already know the CR is in this house.
It's just a short-term continuing resolution. That's right. But anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much. I know I was a little bit more colorful on this episode, but it's gonna be that way because these issues really matter, and I need y'all to take them extremely seriously for what they are. We can't sit there and dilly-dally around what's going on and sugarcoat this. This is really, really bad, and it's going to get worse because they've told us it's going to get worse. And here's the problem. It's not that I believe them. I believe that if they tell us it's going to get worse, it's going to be even worse than that. Because they ain't going to tell us how bad it's going to be. But if they even can concede that it's going to be somewhat bad, it's going to be 10 times worse. So I don't trust them when they say it's bad. I trust that it's going to be worse than what they say. Because they'll never tell you the truth. And they're going to continue to blame it on Joe Biden. I will say this one last thing, Lori. I don't know how you can ever have something both ways. Did we go through any recession when Joe Biden was president?
No.
Even when there were some economists that thought we might go through a recession, Joe Biden kept saying we're not going to go through a recession. And he proved to be correct. Right?
Absolutely.
Unemployment has been at its lowest in 50 years. Stock market expanded, had the highest gains ever on record. But you come in and tell us you inherited a bad economy based on policies from the previous regime. Well, my 401k would say you full of shit. My bank account would say you full of shit. Yes, was interest rates high? Yes, but had they come down since 2020? Yeah, they have. Interest rates were starting to get cut by the Fed, and there was no recession. Now you've been in office for 2 months. Stock market is crashing. Interest rates are going back up. Cost of eggs has gone up. Now you're telling people that there's going to be some pain. And now you won't even say that there's not going to be a recession. So what we got in 4 years with Joe Biden, you've effed up in 2 months. Sounds like another Trump business. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Just want y'all to think about that. Again, the man is selling y'all a bunch of crap. And if you're still believing it, if 2 months hadn't shown you that he's full of crap, if you can point to one policy that he has implemented, passed, pushed to Congress that will change your life from a cost of living standpoint, please entertain me with that bull crap. You won't, because I will shoot so many holes in it, it will look like Swiss cheese. But you're welcome to try. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't hiding. Hell, even the internet been good today. Come on with it. I know Lori got a hand on the trigger, so I'm going to let her go ahead and do her thing. We will see y'all guys again next week. Stay tuned. Most importantly, Stay safe and keep up the faith. We'll see y'all again next week. Peace.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for